But how degrading it all is. The old woman came back. Yes, sir. As we say, 10 kopecks the ruble a month, so I must take 15 kopecks from a ruble and a half for the month in advance. But for the 2 rubles I lent you before, you owe me now 20 kopecks on the same reckoning in advance. That makes 35 kopecks altogether, so I must give you a ruble and 15 kopecks for the watch. Here it is. What?
I sat down feeling desolated, bowed my head and crossed my knees. Is fortune really predicated upon such tiny turns as these? Then fate's a thing without a head, a puzzle, never understood. And man proceeds where he is led, unguaranteed of bad or good.
Fate can be the trap in your path, the bitter cup of your tears, your wine of wrath. Fate can be shade in the desert blaze, sudden food in a famine found, the sound of praise, incomprehensible and strange. Fate can play a trick with a twine to weave the evil and good in one design. And so, my destiny, I look at you and cannot see. Is it good? Is it ill? Am I blessed? Am I cursed? Is it honey on my tongue or brine? What fate is mine? a trick with a twine to weave the evil and good in one design. And I can face the sun, no more to dodge, no more to run. I can eat, I can buy, I can sleep in a bed, in the certainty I'm fed and free. For fate has claimed its child and smiled on me.
I sat down feeling desolated, bowed my head and crossed my knees. Is fortune really predicated upon such tiny turns as these? Then fate's a thing without a head, a puzzle, never understood. And man proceeds where he is led, unguaranteed of bad or good.
Fate can be the trap in your path, the bitter cup of your tears, your wine of wrath. Fate can be shade in the desert blaze, sudden food in a famine found, the sound of praise, incomprehensible and strange. Fate can play a trick with a twine to weave the evil and good in one design. And so my destiny, I look at you and cannot see. Is it good? Is it ill? Am I blessed? Am I cursed? Is it honey on my tongue or brine? What fate is mine? Fate can play a trick with a twine to weave the evil and good in one design. And I can face the sun, no more to dodge, no more to run. I can eat, I can buy, I can sleep in a bed, in the certainty I'm fed and free. For fate has claimed its child and smiled on me.
With a poison kiss, priests and cannibals, prehistoric animals, everybody happy as the dead come home. Big black nemesis, parthenogenesis, no one move a muscle as the dead come home. Priests and cannibals, prehistoric animals, everybody happy as the dead come home. Big black nemesis, parthenogenesis, no one move a muscle as the dead come home.
I love you, my darling, more than I can say. I love you, my dear, but you've made me pay the penalty for love, dear, is greater than all. I love you, my dear, but you lived before. When God made this earth, dear, He made it for all. He made it love for John, Tom, and Paul. But when He made you, dear, He made you for me. So let's not pretend that you are still free. I'm so lonely, my darling, when you are not near. Sad and I'm blue, and so full of fear. So please realize, dear, what you mean to me. Come back, my love, and let the past be. When God made this earth, dear, He made it for all. He made it love for John, Tom, and Paul. But when He made you, dear, He made you for me. So let's not pretend that you are still free.
És megzavarni a saját örök nyugodalmat. Hát nem őrület vagy hazugság, ritkán hazudok. Menjen orvoshoz, igen, ezt szokták mondani, betegszeg.
О, взор судьбы чертит неясный след. Твое лицо я вижу вновь так близко. Вспоминания прошлых лет передо мной, а лежит твоя записка. Не надо встареть, а не надо продолжать. А не нужно слов, клянусь тебе не стоит. А если вновь больное сердце ноет, заставь его застыть и замолчать. А мне так знаком, а мучительно знаком твой каждый жест, обманчивый, голубый, твоей души предательский заум. Твой каждый взор и чувственные губы. Не надо встареть, а не надо продолжать. А не нужен слов, клянусь тебе не стоит. А если вновь больное сердце ноет, заставь его застыть и замолчать. Я не хочу былого сквернить, лиговая чувства в развратную минуту, что было раз, тому уже не быть. Твоей рукой все зарвано и смято. Не надо встать, не надо продолжать. Пени нужа на салов, а коль ну себе не стоит. Оно, если было больное, сердце ноет. Заставь его застыть, замолчать.
That means I do for her as she do for me. Vice versa, whatever the situation. Cause pimpin' presides is the occupation. But if I only had one, I could take care of my business and then some. Yeah, you know what I mean. Somebody down with me, only on my team. Could it be you? Or is it that you wanna be down with my crew? Cause I don't know, without no doubt. And the way things going, I can't.
And gazed into them, waiting for first instructions. He studied a stone from the stream. He found a dead mole, and slowly he took it apart, then stared at the gobbets, feeling helpless. He walked, letting the translucent, starry
but it's coming.
I'll take the Agnew method, please, if I may. I'd like to opt for the Agnew. According to my calculations, 16. You owe me 60 days. I'll take it in cash, thank you. I have to get out and go home. So. I believe in deterrence. American Airlines, Gulf and Western, 3M Company, heavies accused of thousands and thousands of dollars in illegal contributions, right? I gave him a nice slap on the wrist.
Came home from a party, feeling hale and hearty. 6 a.m. in the morning, day was already dawning. Yolanda was in the street, in she bathroom and she bare feet, yelling to the top of Shillong, to the biggest cop in the town, saying, "Now, officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve the time? Officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve the time? My husband, he ain't no good. He don't do the things he should. He's out with the fellas till the break of day. He come back home with the mouth to say he lies so good I often believe. Me old eyes, you just can't deceive. I saw his collar full of lipstick, so I hit him in the head with the pot real quick, saying, "Now, officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve the time? Officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve the time?" He tells me that I'm unfair. He don't know how the stuff got there. He pulled out his handkerchief to wipe his hair, and it was then that the tear dropped that he pretended he didn't see. But they were as plain as can be. 2 movie stops fell out on the floor, so I proceeded to beat him on his head some more, saying, "Now, officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve the time? Officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve the time?" He tells me he did nothing to disgrace me wedding ring. He fell to his knee and began to plead. I turned me back so I wouldn't heed, because I know me husband ain't right when there's a pretty woman in sight. For me own security, I had to bash him on the head for the kids and me, saying, "Now, officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve the time? Officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve the time?" He swears that he will stray no more, but I left him astride on the floor. He leave me with 13 kids to tie me down, while he goes out gallivanting in town. I do believe that he'll lie no more. With those men, you just can't be sure. So just in case what he said ain't true, I hit him with the pot and the bathtub too, saying, "Now, officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve the time? Officer, what's the penalty for assault and battery? Will I have to pay the fine? Will I have to serve me time?"
supposed to be out there. What your uncle doing up there? Oh, he's trying to steal something. I guess he's hanging around. Fucked up, man. I wouldn't give him no, when I'm deaf tunnel, straight electricity. Oh, I wouldn't give him no gas. They be trying to hold their breath. Oh, man, yeah. They give us gas. We just hold our breath.
How could he have failed to reflect that she must have come in somehow? He dashed to the door and fastened the latch. But no, the wrong thing again. I must get away, get away! He unfastened the latch, opened the door, and began listening on the staircase. Listened a long time. Somewhere far away, it might be in the gateway, two voices were loudly and shrilly shouting, quarreling and scolding. What are they about?
World, but if you don't believe me, ask your girl. Then you get mad, cause I'm so hard. But then you can't check me, check your broad. Cause what I'm saying is 100% real. You mess with me, you take a sleeping pill. It doesn't really matter if I scare you or not. Get out of line and meet my fully loaded Glock. The city of Dallas is the place I call home. Peace, I'm out, I got my OG flow on. Go kicking it with the nemesis for a minute at Tizzle. Hit him with it big as Alice all on Yizzle. Tell him all about what you want him to do.
Amendment 4.
The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated.
And no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
In some countries, even today, police officers may search a person's home or office for evidence of wrongdoing, seize his property, and arrest him whenever they see fit. In the United States, on the other hand, the Fourth Amendment protects the individual and his property from unreasonable search and seizure by officers of the law. In most instances, the police officer must first go to a magistrate and convince him that there is probable cause, good reason, to believe that the individual involved has committed a crime, or that he has in his possession the fruits of the crime, or other evidence that he committed it. The magistrate, if convinced, then gives the police officer a court order called a warrant, permitting the police officer to search a precise place and seize the things described in the warrant. In searching for evidence, police are required to operate under strict legal procedures, as a ruling by Mr. Justice Felix Frankfurter points out.
The knock at the door, whether by day or night, as a prelude to assault, but solely on the authority of the police, is inconsistent with the conception of human rights enshrined in the history and the basic constitutional documents of English-speaking peoples.
Although the sanctity of one's privacy against illegal intrusion is one of the most important basic rights in our Constitution, experience has shown that such intrusions occasionally occur at the hands of overzealous police officers. Where this is the case, the court has ruled that neither federal nor state governments may use for prosecution such evidence obtained illegally. In words written by Mr. Justice Tom C. Clark, the court said,
"We hold that all evidence obtained by searches and seizures in violation of the Constitution is by that same authority inadmissible in a state court. Were it otherwise, then the assurance against unreasonable searches and seizures would be a form of words, valueless and undeserving of mention in a perpetual charter of inestimable human liberties.
Amendment 5. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger.
Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb.
Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself.
Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation.
The Fifth Amendment prohibits trying a defendant in a federal court for an infamous, meaning serious, crime, unless he has first been accused by a grand jury, this charge generally being stated in a formal accusation called a bill of indictment. An indictment is not required for a trial by court-martial or in cases of contempt of court. Also, the Constitution does not require states to use grand jury indictments with respect to their criminal trials, but many states do use this procedure. Double jeopardy. The Fifth Amendment also guarantees the individual that he will not be tried before a federal court more than once for the same crime. The Supreme Court has also stated that under the Due Process Clause safeguard of the 14th Amendment, state courts may not harass defendants by successive prosecutions for the same offense. Double jeopardy does not arise, however, when a single act violates both federal and state laws. In such cases, a person may be exposed to double prosecution in both federal and state courts. An example of such an offense would be bank robbery, both a state and federal offense. The Self-Incrimination Clause. With certain exceptions, such as in instances where a witness is granted immunity against prosecution, a person need not answer questions in any federal proceeding which, in light of all the circumstances, tend to incriminate him. Mr. Justice Felix Frankfurter, speaking for the Supreme Court in a 1956 decision, said,
"Too many, even those who should be better advised, view this privilege as a shelter for wrongdoers. They too readily assume that those who invoke it are either guilty of crime or commit perjury in claiming the privilege. Such a view does scant honor to the patriots who sponsored the Bill of Rights as a condition to acceptance of the Constitution by the ratifying states. No doubt the constitutional privilege may, on occasion, save a guilty man from his just deserts. It was aimed at a more far-reaching evil, a recurrence of the Inquisition and the Star Chamber, even if not in their stark brutality. The founders sought to close the doors against like future abuses by law-enforcing agencies."
The public does not always understand why an innocent person might invoke the privilege in response to any question. The protection provided by the Fifth Amendment may be lost by a witness who does not claim it promptly. Failure to do so may operate as a waiver of this constitutional protection. Although the Supreme Court has not ruled that a state must extend such protection, almost every state constitution contains some safeguard against self-incrimination. The Supreme Court has ruled, however, that under the Due Process Clause of Amendment 14, state and local police officials are forbidden to use coercion, the third degree, or any other unfair or brutal means to obtain involuntary confession from a person suspected of a crime. Due Process Clause. This clause is found both in the 5th and 14th Amendments. In Amendment 5, it places a restraint upon the federal government, and in Amendment 14, the same restraint is placed upon the state governments. Just what due process means has never been fully defined. Its most literal meaning would probably be reasonable and proper procedure in meting out justice. When public officials affront the dignity of man by use of conduct that shocks the conscience, due process is violated. Use of unfair methods in law enforcement or in legal proceedings, such as a court admitting into evidence a confession obtained from a defendant by use of torture, or receiving evidence against a defendant by a prosecutor who knew such evidence was false, would plainly violate the due process protection extended by the Constitution. The clause also prevents state and federal governments from adopting arbitrary and unreasonable legislation which interferes with important individual liberties, such as freedom to contract, to engage in lawful occupations, to marry, and to travel without unnecessary restraints. Just compensation clause. Government cannot take private property without paying for it. The Supreme Court has ruled, however, that where full value is paid to the owner, it is permissible to take private property for such public purposes as slum clearance and urban renewal, even though ultimately the property taken will be returned to private ownership, since the taking is really for the benefit of the community as a whole. Privately owned property which is drastically lowered in value because of governmental action may also be regarded as taken by government, and therefore may require payment of compensation. Thus, the Supreme Court has held that the disturbance of the egg-laying habits of chickens on a man's poultry farm, caused by the noise of low-level flights by military aircraft from a nearby air base, lessens the value of that farm, and that, accordingly, the landowner is entitled to receive compensation equal to his loss. By virtue of the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, these rules also apply to the states.
Amendment 6.
In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation.
To be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense.
The Sixth Amendment enumerates specific rights guaranteed to the individual who is prosecuted in federal court. It requires that the accused be brought to trial without unnecessary delay, and guarantees that his trial will not be a secret one behind closed doors. The right of trial by jury was considered so important that it has been stated twice in our Constitution, in Article 3 and here in Amendment 6. In federal prosecutions, a jury of 12 and a unanimous verdict are required. But the Supreme Court has held that in state prosecutions, lack of a 12-man jury trial is not necessarily contrary to the standard of a fair trial, and therefore not contrary to the Due Process Clause of Amendment 14. However, the Constitution requires that when a jury is used, either in a state or federal trial, it must be impartial, and that persons cannot be excluded from jury service merely because of their racial, economic, religious, or other group affiliation. The remaining clauses of Amendment 6 relate to the fact that federal trials must not only be held in the state wherein the crime was committed, as required by Article 3, but also in the district wherein the crime was alleged to have taken place. Following this, Amendment 6 stipulates that the accused must be given notice in what respects it is claimed he has broken the law, in order that he may have an opportunity to prepare his defense. Generally, the accused is entitled to have all witnesses against him present their evidence orally in court, and, subject to certain exceptions, hearsay evidence cannot be used in federal criminal trials. Moreover, the accused is entitled to the aid of the court in having compulsory process issued, usually a subpoena, which will order into court those persons whose testimony he desires at the trial. Finally, the accused in any federal criminal case is entitled to a lawyer and must be provided with one by the court if he cannot afford the cost. A defendant may, however, waive the right of counsel, provided he fully understands what he is doing. Although the right of counsel granted by the Sixth Amendment applies only to federal trials, its principles are so important to a fair trial that they are often held applicable to the states as a rule of due process. Mr. Justice George Sutherland explained the reasons for the rule thus.
The right to be heard would be in many cases of little avail if it did not comprehend the right to be heard by counsel. Without it, though the layman be not guilty, he faces the danger of conviction because he does not know how to establish his innocence.
Amendment 7. In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States.
I'd like to forget machines and toys to distract and destroy, and a wide range of pleasures, so relax and enjoy. Games and games we play in the dark. It's always the same at Punishment Park. And now, outside,
Anyja vaja törje ezeket! Nyissatok ajtót! Alusztok vagy mi a fene?
The cake's just flown in. All my ladies in the house, you want it. And all my fellas in the house, get on it. Jam on it, jam on it. If you got what it takes, just flown in. All my ladies in the house, you want it. And all my fellas in the house, jam on it.
Now for my ladies, keep dancing, fellas keep bopping. Shake what your mama gave and it don't stop with it. Move side to side with it, rock with it. So much space, you fit the whole block in it. So get on down and get on down. The Harlem world, it's on now, it's on now. Jam with me till you feel it and you
See him smiling in flowers, then rising and waving his hands in trees. Then Almitra spoke, saying, "We would ask now of death." And he said, "You would know the secret of death, but how shall you find it unless you seek it in the heart of life? For life and death are one, even as the river and the sea are one. In the depth of your hopes and desires lies..."
Tales of King Midas. One day Bacchus, god of wine and revelry, missed his beloved old tutor Silenus, who was a satyr. One of the strange demigods with the body of a man, but the tail and ears of a horse. The truth was that Silenus had grown tired on a woodland ramble, and perhaps having indulged a little too freely in the wine cups of his pupil, fell sound asleep. Some peasants found the old fellow, and forthwith conducted him to their king, Midas of Phrygia, who gladly received the elderly satyr and entertained him most royally for some 10 days. On the 11th, the king personally escorted his guest to the divine presence of Bacchus. Grateful to have his tutor restored to him and wishing to show his appreciation in a generous fashion, the god addressed Midas in these words: "O Phrygian king, what reward shall be yours? Only speak, and your wish shall be granted." Bethinking himself for a moment, Midas replied, "May it be granted that whatever I touch may be on the instant changed into gold." Bacchus knew at once that this choice could only lead to evil results, but true to his word, ordained that it might be as Midas desired. The king's joy knew no bounds, and he lost no time in putting his wondrous new gift to the test. On his way home, Midas plucked a twig from an oaken tree, and could scarcely believe his eyes as it turned to purest gold in his hand. When he broke an apple from the branch, it became like one of the fabled golden apples of the Hesperides. Arriving at his palace, the joyful ruler found that tables, chairs, and vases turned to gleaming gold at his touch. Then, to celebrate the miraculous event, he ordered his servants to serve up a magnificent repast. But when the king broke a piece of bread to eat, it turned hard and yellow in his hand. He put it into his mouth and bit, as it were, a stone. Thirstily, he reached for a glass of wine, but it was molten gold in his throat. In deepest consternation and despair, the foolish king now had no choice but to pray that his miserable gift might be taken from him. Raising his arms, shining with gold, he prayed to Bacchus, "I implore thee, let me be free of this glittering curse." At once the god replied, bidding Midas to trace the river Pactolus to its source in Lydia. "Bathe in its waters," he commanded,
and you shall cleanse yourself of your greedy fault and of its punishment. So doing, Midas found his normal powers restored, while the magical golden gift passed from him to the river Pactolus, so that its sands became tinged with gold, and thus they remain to this day. Another legend has it that Midas, having learned from his melancholy experience to hate wealth and display, went to dwell in the country where he worshipped Pan, goat-footed god of the fields, who was known for his skill in playing the pipes made of reeds. On one occasion, Pan's great pride in his melodious art led him to challenge the sun god Apollo to a musical contest, rashly offering his rustic pipes to vie with the Olympian lyre. Apollo consenting, the mountain god Tmolus took his seat as judge, and cleared away the trees from his ears to listen. First to compete was Pan, who indeed brought forth most pleasing harmonies from his reedy pipes, inspiring his disciple Midas to hearty applause. Tmolus then invited Apollo to perform, whereupon the god arose, clad in a robe of Tyrian purple and wearing a wreath of laurel on his brow. Striking the strings of his lyre, Apollo made music of such miraculous beauty that Tmolus at once decreed him the winner. However, Midas most unwisely maintained that the music of his favorite, Pan, was superior. Enraged by this affront, Apollo decreed that such a stupid pair of ears must be punished, and at his command the two ears of Midas grew long and movable on their roots, hairy both within and without. In short, an exact copy of the ears of an ass. Midas, being humiliated by this horrid transformation, which all eyes could see, attempted to hide his disfigurement by adopting a large turban as headdress. Naturally, he could not conceal the disgraceful matter from his barber, but ordered the man never to mention it, under threat of direst punishment. But the secret was too burdensome for the barber to keep to himself. So one day he went into a field where he dug a deep hole, and leaning his mouth near, he shouted down into the opening the story about the king's ears, then covered up the hole. Unfortunately, the ground itself could not keep the wretched secret. Before long, a thick bed of reeds sprang up, covering the field, and from that day on, whenever a breeze rustled through the reeds, those who passed that way could hear a murmuring of words. King Midas has the ears of an ass, the ears of an ass.
I shall achieve in time to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make his prisoner pens a reading that represents the source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment.
For doing a wrong, but never for a love like mine that grows forever strong. I would do most anything to bring you back to me, to have your love just once again and remove this penalty.
Destroy and a wide range of pleasure, so relax and enjoy. Games and games we play in the dark. It's always the same at Punishment Park. Now outside you'll hear the dogs bark. Pleasure, so relax and enjoy. Games and games we play in the dark. It's always the same at Punishment Park. Now outside you'll hear the dogs bark, and it's always that way.
Medication, rub the ashes in our favorite wounds. That reasoning petrifies me, leaves frozen tracks inside me, leading to the whim that you leave on. Ooh, don't you know there's something about you that's heat to cold, cold night, freezing the ice cubes when you're gone. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, baby, I need someone to talk to. Don't cop a mood and walk away.
The taxpayers a whole lot of money?
No, it's keeping them alive and feeding them that cost the money, Dave.
Well, I know that the cost of food has jumped a bunch.
Not cyanide capsules. You know how much a cyanide capsule costs?
No.
Practically nothing. And from time to time, we get free samples from the napalm people.
Boy, you can't beat that, Senator.
Oh, no way. And rope is cheap.
Rope?
Yeah, rope.
Oh, sure, for hanging.
Exactly.
How about the chair?
The electric chair doesn't cost as much as you...
sons, a legacy indicted by a brother that would sell his sister for condolences, absolving him from hell. When the brow burns hot, the heart just grows cold. Soon are forgotten the truths that are sold.
So you condemn me to death. If you had waited a little while, your desire would have been fulfilled in the course of nature. I am far advanced in years, as you may perceive, and not far from death. But I would rather die, having spoken after my manner, than speak in your manner and live. And now I depart hence, condemned by you to suffer the penalty of death, while my accusers go their way, condemned by the truth to suffer the penalty of villainy and wrong. I must abide by my award, and they must abide by theirs. Let us reflect, and we shall see why there is great reason to hope that death is a good. One of two things is true. Death is either a state of nothingness and utter unconsciousness, or, as men say, there is a migration of the soul from this world to another. Now, if you suppose that there is no consciousness, but merely a sleep, I say that to die is a gain, because eternity is then only a single night. If death is the journey to another place, and there all the dead are, what good, O my friends and judges, can be greater than this? If indeed, when the pilgrim arrives in the world below, he is delivered from the professors of justice in this world and finds the true judges who are said to give judgment in that other, and is privileged to examine the wise poets and heroes. If this be true, let me die again and again. There I shall find out who among the great is really wise, and who pretends to be wise, but is not. What would not a man give to be able to examine the leader of the great Trojan expedition, or numberless others? What infinite delight would there be in conversing with them and asking questions? In that world I shall be able to continue my search into the nature of true and false knowledge. And besides being happier there than here, men will be immortal if what is said is true. I see clearly that to die and be released is better for me. The hour of departure has arrived. We go our ways, I to die, you to live. Which is the better? God only knows.
My object all sublime, he will achieve in time to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make each prisoner pen willingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment. Let the punishment fit, let the punishment fit. My object all sublime, he will achieve in time to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make each prisoner pen willingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment. Let the punishment fit, let the punishment fit.
Πια ήμουνα, γίνου και παλικάρι μου και βάλε το μαχαίρι μου στην πιο κρυφή πληγή. Μεγάλα γέμα της καρδιάς, σαν μάνα σε μεγάλωσα κι αν κάποτε σε μάλωσα, συγχώρα με κι εσύ. Πια ήμουνα, γίνου και παλικάρι μου και βάλε το μαχαίρι μου στην πιο κρυφή πληγή. Μεγάλα γέμα της καρδιάς, σαν μάνα σε μεγάλωσα κι αν κάποτε σε μάλωσα, συγχώρα με κι εσύ.
Home team bench.
The coach said, "Referee, you stink! You stink!" And the referee reached down, picked up that red rag, and
Wake up the drummer, put the sticks in his hand. Tell him to beat the drum and give the command. We've got an awful lot of marching to do. I'm going home to my Louisiana Lou, to my Louisiana Lou. Don't waste another minute, break up the camp. Can't stand the northern weather, too cold and damp. I'm headed south to spend the next year or two, just warming up with my Louisiana Lou, with my Louisiana Lou. Louisiana Lou, Louisiana Lou. I'm going home to Louisiana Lou.
3 years ago we marched away with a smile. Ain't seen a Southern belle in too long a while. I'm leaving all the Yankee women to you. Can't hold a candle to Louisiana Lou, to my Louisiana Lou.
I've gotta get it moving, just point me south. I feel that southern cooking melt in my mouth. Don't mean to rush you boys, but you'd hurry too if you were headed to Louisiana Lou, to my Louisiana Lou. We fought the best we could, it's all over now. I'm mighty anxious to get home anyhow. Maybe we'll rise again, but until we do, you'll find me waiting with Louisiana Lou, with my Louisiana Lou. Louisiana Lou, Louisiana Lou. I'm going home to Louisiana Lou. You've heard my voice. You've heard my voice. And you know my name. If you've ever kissed in a summer rain, if you slept where wind and the snows have lain, if you've ever heard a lonely train, then you've heard my voice, and you know my name. If you bowed your head when you're filled with pride, if you've learned of death when a bird has died, if you've tasted tears when a child has cried, then you've heard my voice, and you know my name. You've heard my voice in the winds of spring. I've seen my face where the roses cling. I am the touch that the warm rains bring. I make my home in the heart of everything. In the driving rain of a summer squall, when the summer's gone and the petals fall, when the day is done and the night birds call. Well, you've heard my voice and you know my name. face where the roses cling, and the touch that the warm rains bring. I make my home in the heart of everything, in the driving rain of a summer squall, when the summer is gone and the petals fall, when the day is done and the night birds call. You've heard my voice, yes, you've heard my voice, and you know my name.
There's a land across the river that they call the sweet forever. There's a bright new world across that heavenly sea. There will be no pain nor sorrow on the far side of tomorrow, when they ring those golden bells for you and me, for you and me. Can't you hear the bells ringing? Can't you hear the angels singing? And the glory, hallelujah, jubilee. There's a bright new day a-dawning, children meet me on that morning, when they ring those golden bells for you and me, for you and me. Going there to meet my mother, where the good and the righteous gather, when the gospel ship sails that heavenly sea. I want to sing and shout the story, yes, my soul is bound for glory, when they ring those golden bells for you and me, for you and me. Yeah, can't you hear the bells ringing? Can't you hear the angels singing? And the glory, hallelujah, jubilee. There will be no pain nor sorrow on the far side of tomorrow, when they ring those golden bells for you and me, for you and me. Can't you hear the bells ringing? Can't you hear the angels singing? Land of glory, hallelujah, jubilee. There will be no pain nor sorrow on the far side of tomorrow, when they ring those golden bells for you and me, for you and me, when they ring those golden bells for you and me, for you and me.
Right now we come to a portion of our show which we have elected to call Bits and Pieces, and here we attempt and succeed in finding the fun in the music we sing. Give them an example, Art.
Oh, this is so funny. Oh, so this guy is going to get hanged. It's a gas, it really is. You see, in the olden times, a man could buy his way off the scaffold, you see, with gold and silver. You can't do that today. I told you, I'm glad to see you got the same sense of humor. Anyway, here he is on top of the gallows, trying to tell the hangman that somebody's going to come and save him with a ransom of gold and silver, you see. And he's pleading for his life. Hangman, hangman, slack your rope, slack it for a while. Lord, I think I see my mother rock.
We had some chickens, no eggs would they lay. We had some chickens, no eggs would they lay. My wife said, honey, we're losing money. We have some chickens, they won't lay eggs. One day a rooster come in our yard and caught those chickens right off their guard. They're laying eggs now, just like they used to, ever since that rooster come in our yard. We had a milk cow, no milk would she give. We had a milk cow, no milk would she give. My wife said, we're losing money. We have a milk cow, no milk will she give. One day that rooster come in our yard. and caught that milk cow, wow, right off her guard. She's given eggnog in glass containers ever since that rooster come in our
yard. It was early last September, as near as I can remember, while strolling down the lane in tipsy pride. Not a word did I utter as I lay down in the gutter, and this pig come up and lay down by my side. Not a soul was I disturbing as I lay there by the curbing, but this high-toned lady stopped and I heard her say,
you may tell someone who boozes by the company he chooses.
And the pig got up and slowly walked away.
Get them sheep out of here. This is cattle country.
I keep my pants up with a piece of twine. I keep my arms wide open all the time. I keep myself quite willing all the time. Because you're mine, please pull the twine.
Ladies and gentlemen, our foremost authority on British folk music, Dolan Ellis.
Thank you very much. Old English folk music is a bore. Give them an example, Arthur. Smashing. This one is a little contemporary, if you will notice. That's Roy Smucker Guitar Book #1, if you're interested in that hot lick out there. Tiptoe through the tulips, oh, won't you come along and tiptoe through the tulips with me? Oh, well, strolling through the tulips, through the tulips. Oh, won't you come along and stroll through the tulips with me? Walking through the tulips, through the tulips. Oh, won't you come along and walk through the tulips with me? Trotting through the tulips, through the tulips. Oh, won't you come along and trot through the tulips with me? Running through the tulips, through the tulips. Won't you come along and run through the tulips with me? Stomping through the tulips, through the tulips. I want you come along and monster mash through the tulips with me. No more little tulips in the garden. What a pity, Basil. No more little tulips for me. Well, we'll plant nasturtiums, nasturtiums. Oh, won't you come along and stomp through the nasties with me?
This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, don't care nothing but the good and the holy. This train is bound for glory, this train.
This train is leaving in the morning, this train. This train is leaving in the morning, this train. This train is leaving in the morning, heavenly day is a new day dawning. This train is leaving in the morning, this train.
This train's gonna carry my mother, hallelujah. This train's gonna carry my mother, hallelujah. This train's gonna carry my mother, gonna carry my father, my sister, my brother now. This train's gonna carry my mother, hallelujah.
This train ain't gonna have no gambling. This train, this train, this train, this train, this train ain't gonna have no gambling. This train ain't gonna have no gambling. No crap shooting, no midnight rambling. This train ain't gonna have no gambling. This train.
And when the saints go marching in, Lord, Lord, when the saints go marching in. Oh, well, I want to be in that ever-loving number when the saints go marching. How about a deacon? Well, when that light begins to shine. Oh, when that light begins to shine. Oh, well, I want to be in that ever-loving number when that light begins to shine.
And when the sun refuse to shine. Hey, when the sun, moon, and stars refuse to shine. Oh, well, I wanna be in that ever-loving number when the sun refuses to shine. Yo, yo.
When the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, well, I wanna be in that ever-loving number when the saints go marching in. When the saints go marching in.
mortal, thou most rash and fatal wretch, bow down and worship, tremble and obey. I know it, and yet ye see, I kneel not. Hence, avaunt, he's mine!
What wouldst thou?
Thou canst not reply to me. Call up the dead. My question is for them.
Great Arimanes, doth thy will avouch the wishes of this mortal?
Yea.
Whom wouldst thou uncharnel?
One without a tomb. Call up Astarte.
Shadow or spirit, whatever thou art, which still doth inherit the whole or a part of the form of thy birth, of the mold of thy clay which returned to the earth, reappear to the day, bear what thou borest, the heart and the form, and the aspect thou worest, redeem from the worm. Appear. 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 Who sent thee there requires thee here.
Can this be death? There's bloom upon her cheek, but now I see it is no living hue, but a strange hectic, like the unnatural red which autumn plants upon the perished leaf. It is the same, O God, that I should dread to look upon the same Astarte. No, I cannot speak to her, but bid her speak, forgive me or condemn me.
By the power which hath broken the grave which enthralled thee, speak to him who hath spoken, or those who have called thee.
She is silent, and in that silence I am more than answered.
My power extends no further. Prince of air, it rests with thee alone. Command her voice. Spirit, obey that scepter. Silent still. She is not of our order, but belongs to the other powers. Mortal, thy quest is vain, and we are baffled also.
Hear me, Astarte, my beloved, speak to me. I have so much endured, so much endured. Look on me. The grave hath not changed thee more than I am changed for thee. Thou lovedst me too much as I love thee. We were not made to torture thus each other, though it were the deadliest sin to love as we have loved. say that thou loath'st me not, that I do bear this punishment for both, that thou wilt be one of the blessed, and that I shall die. For hitherto all hateful things conspire to bind me in existence, in a life which makes me shrink from immortality, a future like the past. I cannot rest. I know not what I ask, nor what I seek. I feel but what thou art, and what I am. And I would hear yet once, before I perish, the voice which was my music. Speak to me. For I have called on thee in the still night, startled the slumbering birds from the hushed boughs, and woke the mountain wolves, and made the caves acquainted with thy vainly echoed name, which answered me, many things answered me, spirits and men, but thou wert silent all. Yet speak to me. I have outwatched the stars and gazed o'er heaven in vain in search of thee. Speak to me. I have wandered o'er the earth and never found thy likeness. Speak to me. Look on the fiends around. They feel for me. I fear them not, and feel for thee alone. Speak to me. Though it be in wrath, but say, I reck not what, but let me hear thee once, this once more.
Manfred.
Say on, say on. I live but in the sound. It is thy voice.
Manfred, tomorrow ends thine earthly ills. Farewell.
Yet one word more. Am I forgiven?
Farewell.
Say, shall we meet again?
Farewell.
One word for mercy. Say thou lovest me.
She's gone and will not be recalled. Her words will be fulfilled. Return to the earth.
We meet then. Where? On the earth, even as thou wilt. And for the grace accorded, I now depart, a debtor. Fare thee well.
Lampa fine
of dark and dismal fate. Forgo your cruel employ. Have pity on my lonely state. I am an orphan boy. An orphan boy. An orphan boy. How sad, an orphan boy. These children whom you see are all that I can call my own. Poor fellow. Take them away from me, and I shall be indeed alone. Poor fellow. If pity you can feel, leave me my sole remaining joy. See, at your feet they kneel, your hearts you cannot steal, against the sad, sad tale of a lonely orphan boy. Poor fellow. See at our feet they kneel, our hearts we cannot steal, against the sad, sad tale of the lonely orphan boy. The orphan boy, the orphan boy, see at our feet they kneel, our hearts we cannot steal, against the tale of the lonely orphan boy. Poor fellow. I'm telling a terrible story, but it doesn't diminish my glory, for they would have taken my daughters over the billowy waters if I hadn't in elegant diction indulged in an innocent fiction, which is not in the same category as telling a regular terrible story. It's a terrible story, which will have to diminish its glory. It's one of the moving stories that fell in the billowy waters. It is easy in elegant diction to call it an innocent fiction, but it comes in the same category as telling a regular terrible story. It's easy in elegant diction to call it an innocent fiction, but it comes in the same category as telling a regular story. Although a dark career sometimes involves the crime of stealing, we rather think that we're not altogether void of feeling. Although we live by strife, we're always sorry to begin it. For what we ask is life, without a touch of poetry in it. Protect you, and honorary members of our band, we do elect you.
For he is an orphan boy.
He is for the orphan boy.
And it sometimes is a useful thing to be an orphan boy.
It is for the orphan boy, for the orphan boy.
Happy day, victoriously, they will away and marry me.
Oh, happy day, victoriously, they will away and marry me.
Should it be full auspiciously, the sisters all will rise with me.
Should it be full auspiciously, the sisters all will rise with me. Oh, happy day, victoriously, they will away and marry me. Should it be full auspiciously, the sisters all will rise with me. Should it be full auspiciously, the sisters all will rise with me.
Oh, master, hear one word, I do implore you. Remember Ruth, your Ruth who kneels before you.
Yes, yes, remember Ruth who kneels before you.
Away you did deceive me.
Away you did deceive me.
Oh, do not leave me.
Oh, do not leave her.
Away you grieve me.
Away you grieve me.
I wish you'd leave me.
We wish you'd leave me.
In one respect, indeed, our employment may be reckoned dishonest, because, like great statesmen, we encourage those who betray their friends.
Such language, brother, anywhere else, might turn to your prejudice. Learn to be more guarded, I beg you.
When you censure the age, be cautious and sage, lest the courtiers offended should be. If you mention vice or bribe, 'tis so pat to all the tribe. Each cries, that was levelled at me. If you mention vice or bribe, 'tis so pat to all the tribe. Each cries, that was levelled at me.
Whence come you, hussy?
My tears might answer that question.
You have then been whimpering and fondling like a spaniel over the fellow that hath abused you.
One can't help love. One can't cure it. 'Tis not in my power to obey you and hate him.
Learn to bear your husband's death like a reasonable woman. 'Tis not the fashion nowadays so much as to affect sorrow upon these occasions. No woman would ever marry if she had not the chance of mortality for a release. Act like a woman of spirit, hussy, and thank your father for what he is doing.
Is then his fate decreed, sir? Such a man can I think of quitting? When first we met, so moves me yet
Looky, Lucy, there is no saving him, so I think you must even do like other widows. Buy yourself weeds and be cheerful.
You'll think a many days ensue, this sentence not civil. I hang your husband, child, 'tis true, but with him hang your care. Twang, dang, dill-o-dee, twang, dang, dill-o-dee.
Like a good wife, go moan over your dying husband. That child is your duty. Consider, girl, you can't have the man and the money too. So make yourself as easy as you can by getting all you can from him.
Though the ordinary was out of the way today, I hope, my dear, you will, upon the first opportunity, quiet my scruples. Oh, sir, my father's hard heart is not to be softened, and I'm in the utmost despair.
But if I could raise a small sum, would not 20 guineas think you move him? Of all the arguments in the way of business, the perquisite is the most prevailing. Your father's perquisites for the escape of prisoners must amount to a considerable sum in the year. Money well timed and properly applied will do anything.
If you what an office solicit you'll do, and would not have matters neglected, you must quicken the clerk with a perquisite to do what his duty directed. Or would you the frowns of a lady prevent? She too has this palpable failing. The perquisite softens her into consent, that reason withal is prevailing.
What love or money can do shall be done, for all my comfort depends upon your safety.
Where is my dear husband? Was a rope ever intended for this neck? Oh, let me throw my arms about it and throttle thee with love. Why dost thou turn away from me? 'Tis thy Polly, 'tis thy wife.
Was ever such an unfortunate rascal as I am?
Was there ever such another villain?
Oh, Macheath, was it for this we parted? Taken, imprisoned, tried, hanged? Cruel reflection. I'll stay with thee till death. No force shall tear thy dear wife from thee now. What means my love? Not one kind word, not one kind look. Think what thy Polly suffers to see thee in this condition.
Thus when the swallow seeking prey within the sash is closely pent, his consort with bemoaning lay without its pining for the event. A chattering love was all around her skin. She heeds them not, poor bird, her soul's within.
I must disown her. The wench is distracted.
Am I then bilked of my virtue? Can I have no reparation? Sure men were born to lie, and women to believe them. Oh, villain, villain!
Am I not thy wife? Thy neglect of me, thy aversion to me, too severely proves it. Look on me. Tell me, am I not thy wife?
Perfidious wretch!
Barbarous husband!
Hadst thou been hanged 5 months ago, I had been happy.
And I too. If you had been kind to me till death, it would not have vexed me. And that's no very unreasonable request, though from a wife to a man who hath not above 7 or 8 days to live.
Art thou then married to another? Hast thou 2 wives, monster?
If women's tongues can cease for an answer, hear me.
I won't. Flesh and blood can't bear my usage.
Shall I not claim my own? Justice bids me speak.
How happy could I be with either, were father the charmer away. But why you thus tease me together, to neither a word will I say. But tol-da-da-ro-da-da-la-di, tol-lo-da-da-la-da-la-lay, tol-lo-da-da-ro-da-da-la-di, tol-lo-da-da-ro-da-da-lay.
Sure, my dear, there ought to be some preference shown to a wife. At least she may claim the appearance of it. He must be distracted with his misfortunes, or he could not use me thus.
Oh, villain, villain, thou hast deceived me. I could even inform against thee with pleasure. Not a prude wishes more heartily to have facts against her intimate acquaintance than I now wish to have facts against thee. I would have her satisfaction, and they should all out.
I'm bubbled, oh how I am troubled. I'm puzzled and bit, my distresses are doubled. I'm bubbled, oh how I am troubled. I'm puzzled and bit, my distresses are doubled. When you come to the tree, should the hangman refuse these fingers with pleasure could fasten the noose. When you come to the tree, should the hangman refuse these fingers with pleasure could fasten the noose. I'm bubbled, oh how I am troubled. I'm puzzled and bit, my distresses are doubled. I'm bubbled, oh how I am troubled. I'm puzzled and bit, my distresses are doubled. When you come to the tree, should the hangman refuse these fingers with pleasure could fasten the noose. When you come to the tree, should the hangman refuse these fingers with pleasure could fasten the noose.
Be pacified, my dear Lucy. This is all a fetch of Polly's to make me desperate with you in case I get off. If I'm hanged, she would fain have the credit of being thought my widow. Really, Polly, this is no time for a dispute of this sort, for whenever you're talking of marriage, I am thinking of hanging.
And hast thou the heart to persist in disowning me?
And hast thou the heart to persist in persuading me that I'm married? Why, Polly, dost thou seek to aggravate my misfortunes?
Really, Miss Peachum, you but expose yourself. Besides, 'tis barbarous in you to worry a gentleman in his circumstances.
Cease your fanning, false or cunning, never shall my heart trepan. All this sallies are but malice to seduce my constant man. 'Tis more certain by their flitting women oft have envy shown, pleased to ruin others' wooing, never happy in their own. 'Tis more certain by their flitting women oft have
But seriously, Polly, this is carrying the joke a little too far.
If you are determined, madam, to raise a disturbance in the prison, I shall be obliged to send for the turnkey to show you the door. I am sorry, madam, you force me to be so ill-bred.
Give me leave to tell you, madam, these forward airs don't become you in the least, madam, and my duty, madam, obliges me to stay with my husband, madam.
Why, how now, madam, flirt, if you thus must chatter, and off of flinging dirt, and off of flinging dirt, let's try our best and skirt the madam flirt. Why, how now, saucy jade, sure the wench is tipsy, how can you see me made, how can you see me made, the scoff of such a gypsy, saucy jade.
Where's my wench? Ah, hussy, come you home, you slut. And when your fellow is hanged, hang yourself to make your family some amends.
Dear, dear father, do not tear me from him. I must speak. I have more to say to him. Oh, twist thy fetters about me, that he may not haul me from thee.
Sure, all women are alike. If ever they commit the folly, they are sure to commit another by exposing themselves. Away! Not a word more. You are my prisoner now, hussy.
No power on earth can divide the knot that sacred love hath tied. When parents draw against the mind the true love's knot they fast bind. How right
am naturally compassionate, wife, so that I could not use the wench as she deserved, which made you at first suspect there was something in what she said.
Indeed, my dear, I was strangely puzzled.
If that had been the case, her father would never have brought me into this circumstance. No, Lucy, I had rather die than be false to thee.
How happy am I, if you say this from your heart, for I love thee so that I could sooner bear to see thee hanged than in the arms of another.
But couldst thou bear to see me hanged?
Oh, Macheath, I can never live to see that day.
You see, Lucy, in the account of love, you are in my debt, and you must now be convinced that I rather choose to die than be another's. Make me, if possible, love thee more, and let me owe my life to thee. If you refuse to assist me, Peachum and your father will immediately put me beyond all means of escape.
My father, I know, hath been drinking hard with the prisoners, and I fancy he is now taking his nap in his own room. If I can procure the keys, shall I go off with thee, my dear?
If we are together, 'twill be impossible to lie concealed. As soon as the search begins to be a little cool, I will send to thee. Till then, my heart is thy prisoner.
Come then, my dear husband, owe thy life to me, and though you love me not, be grateful. But that Polly runs in my head strangely.
A moment of time may make us unhappy forever.
I like the fox shall grieve, whose mate hath left her side, whom hounds from morn to eve chase o'er country wide. Where can my lover hide? Where cheat or weary back? If love be not his guide, he never will come back. Where can my lover hide? Where cheat or weary back? If love be not his guide, he never will come back.
Ah, Lucy, thy education might have put thee more upon thy guard. For a girl in the bar of an alehouse is always besieged.
Dear sir, mention not my education, for 'twas to that I owe my ruin.
When young at the bar you first taught me to score, and bid me be free of my lips and no more. I was kissed by the parson, the squire, and the sot. When the guest was departed, the kiss was forgot. But his kiss was so sweet and so closely pressed that I languished and pined till I granted the rest.
But love, sir, is a misfortune that may happen to the most discreet woman, and in love we are all fools alike. Notwithstanding all he swore, I am now fully convinced that Polly Peachum is actually his wife. Did I let him escape, fool that I was, to go to her? Polly will wheedle herself into his money, and then Peachum will hang him and cheat us both.
So I am to be ruined, because, forsooth, you must be in love. A very pretty excuse.
I could murder that impudent happy strumpet. I gave him his life, and that creature enjoys the sweets of it. Ungrateful Macheath!
My love is all madness and folly. Alone I lie, toss, tumble, and cry. What a happy creature is Polly. Was there such a wretch as I? With rage I redden like scarlet, but my dear inconstant varlet, stark blind to my charms, is lost in the arms of that jilt, that inveigling harlot. Stark blind to my charms, is lost in the arms of that jilt, that inveigling harlot. This my resentment alarms.
And so, after all this mischief, I must stay here to be entertained with your caterwauling, Mistress Puss. Out of my sight, wanton strumpet. You shall fast and mortify yourself into reason, with now and then a little handsome discipline to bring you to your senses. Go! Peachum, then, intends to outwit me in this affair, but I'll be even with him. The dog is leaky in his liquor, so I'll ply him that way, get the secret from him, and turn this affair to my own advantage. Lions, wolves, and vultures don't live together in herds, droves, or flocks. Of all animals of prey, man is the only sociable one. Every one of us preys upon his neighbor, and yet we herd together. Peachum is my companion, my friend. According to the custom of the world, indeed, he may quote thousands of precedents for cheating me. And shall not I make use of the privilege of friendship to make him a return?
Thus gamesters unite.
Back on, push back the blind. Found a note she'd left behind, but he could not concentrate on anything except a simple twist of fate.
Maradt a meggyilkolt vénasszonynál, nekem nagyon becses emlék mindkettő.
Jelentse be a rendőrségen, hogy tudomására jutott, mi történt. Tudni illik a gyilkosság. Kéri tehát, értesítsék a nyomozó hatóságot, miféle zálottárgyak képezik az ön tulajdonát, mint hogy azokat ki akarja.
Tűztem magam elé, harmadszor pedig, mert föltettem, hogy mértékkel, számítással hajtom végre a tettet. Hol van még ilyen undorító szörnyűség a világon? Nyomorult és tehetségtelen vagyok. Hát bírom én, akarom én.
Passed him by. Now at 70, he can see the light. And he knows he's never been very bright. But he's done his best as he's traveled by. And now, all he can do is just sit and sigh. Pity a man, for he don't know the trouble he'll pass going down life's road.
someday. Gave it better from the